What's up guys, Danny Carlson here, and if you don't have 5 minutes to watch this video, you're gonna waste 5 months to 5 years in just making dumb decisions in your business, because this is the crucial checklist that really every online business owner should be using on a weekly basis in their business to not fall into a bunch of the dumb death traps. And I can tell you that I probably wasted 2 years just going off wherever my mind wanted me to go in my business instead of going through this exact process and then making much better decisions. And it takes a little bit of time. It takes like 2 hours, sometimes even 4 hours every single week to go through the entire process, but it hits upon all the really key things and allows me to make much better decisions in my business instead of just going off whatever feels more urgent or whatever is the most fun thing for me to be working on. And it's a repeatable, reliable system, right? It's a checklist that has a bunch of links in it and a bunch of specific questions that are formulated to make me actually do the things that I need to do every week to check that my business is on the right track and where I should be focusing my time. Okay, so let's hop into, I just want to show you quickly in my calendar. So this is my Google Calendar, and every Monday, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. I have this completely blocked out, and here's a link to the Notion template. I already have it open here. I prefer the desktop app. So here it is right here, and this is a template in Notion. It's a great piece of software where you can set up templates like this. So I can press the new review button and boom, it just duplicates the template, and there it is right there. So you click into this, and we just want to add the date here. So yeah, let's go like April 28th. And weekly scorecard review. So you click on this, and this is my weekly scorecard. I've already talked about that in another video, so make sure you go check out my weekly scorecard video. But you go through a specific process with this. Go to the Trello Done Cards tab, and did we release content this week? So I just got to double check, did content actually go out the door this week? There's something that's added to a tab in that spreadsheet that just shows if content went out the door. Very quick check. Revenue performance. This is a link. This is also in the weekly scorecard, so I can just actually go to my sales dashboard and see, or I can just type it in here. But if I have to actually type it in, like what in the past, whatever revenue came in the past 7 days, then I just have to manually type it in. Then I have to be conscious of whatever that number is. And I like to look at trailing 7 days and trailing 30 days because they give different pictures, right? I know what my numbers need to be to run a healthy business for each month, right? And instead of looking at it month to month, like this is what April looks like, this is what May looks like, trailing 30 days allows like a more accurate measurement of where you are for your monthly levels. And then trailing 7 days is an even closer snapshot. So let's say that we need $40,000 per month to be at a healthy level for the business to cover all your expenses in the team. Then I know that I should be tracking $10,000 every single week to be on track for that number. So I can see it's like, okay, are we ahead of that number, or are we on track for that number? And I can make a better decision in advance instead of waiting until the end of the month and seeing my total numbers not where they should be, right? And down here, so refresh Tiller feed. So you can see that a lot of these are actual links that go to the resource that I'm checking. So refreshing my Tiller feed, Tiller is a great app. I'll just kind of show you guys quickly what that is. So it's a really simple software. It's like $5 a month or something like that connects with your Google Sheets account into all of your bank accounts. So really, really powerful. I've set up a custom dashboard that pulls in all the data from all of my bank accounts, my US bank accounts, my Canadian bank accounts, and all those things. And then it can add custom calculations on top of that. So I can see what is my cash balance across all of my accounts without logging into a whole bunch of different accounts and then doing a bunch of math to actually figure that out. I can just see that in a really easy snapshot. And then you can, take your credit cards and take all of your actual money accounts, and then you can calculate exactly what your cash balance is minus whatever's on your credit card unpaid off or your line of credits or stuff like that. So really powerful thing. If you guys want me to make a dedicated video on that, that's a pretty advanced thing. So let me know in the comments if you want a dedicated video on Tiller. Update the cash flow sheet. So that is a section of that same spreadsheet that I've made there. So I'll update the numbers in the cash flow sheet, see the cash flow position of the company. Google Analytics. So this is a really powerful tool. If you're not familiar with Google Analytics, it basically will just show you what's going on your website. So I open up Analytics, and here I'm looking only for kind of red flags and information that I can use to better the business. So once you have this set up properly, all you're really looking for is major red flags. So I can see here, things look pretty steady over the last 30 days here, fairly steady amount of users, but I can see the users, like it had some pretty big spikes in the beginning of the month, and it's actually looking like a slow decline here. So I might want to look at what's happening with my SEO to see what's happening there. And it shows the page views per destination page. So these are the pages that are getting the most views on my website. I can look into that. Maybe there's a page that's coming up. So one thing that's interesting is I'm not sure what this page is. So I probably would look into that. Like, what is that page? Why is it now all of a sudden in my top 10 pages coming up for the month? And this one, acquisition, where are my customers coming from? So direct, these people are searching direct for the website. Google is, you can see, by far the biggest driver of new people to my website. Facebook, Survive and Thrive Summit. So that's a summit that I hosted the other while. Bing, YouTube. This is an interesting one. So ProfitHunt.co was a site that just profiles different companies. So you can see they've sent 46 people to our website over the past month, and I had nothing to do with that. They just put us up there. So I would probably want to look into that and maybe reach out to them to do something. The next thing I would look at just really quickly in the acquisition tab, you want to connect your Google Search Console account. So this is basically what people are searching for and then ending up on your website with for SEO. So you can see here it's sorted by impressions. So I like to sort by impressions because this gives you a good idea of what you can improve on to get more traffic from SEO. So you can see I got 56 clicks to best Amazon seller software tool. I got 21 to Amazon A+ content. So what we're looking for is things we can improve upon. So the click-through rate is pretty low on this one, 0.28%. So I'd probably look at some ways, like how can I make the title of this blog post or the meta description more appealing that someone would click on it more if they saw it on the search results page, right? So that, and you want to be focusing on the ones with the most impressions. So where's another opportunity? So this one's really interesting, actually. This one and this one, these have really, really low click-through rates, so 0.02. So I've actually already gone through this process with these listings, but I would look into this and just like look at ways, how can I increase the click-through rate to get more of those people who are already seeing that on the Google search results to actually click onto it, and looking for little optimizations in this. And just knowing which of your pieces of content are performing the best. So this is my number one performing piece of content. I would probably want to look at ways of lowering the bounce rate on this. So it has a 94% bounce rate. So a lot of people are ending up on this page that's the only page they read, they check out the blog, and then they exit the website, right? So I'd probably want to go into this blog post and look at some ways, like how can I get people from that blog post onto another one of my related blog posts or onto one of my sales pages. So I probably want to stick something pretty relevant at the top. I want to go add in some more hyperlinks. I can tell you right now, the reason this one has such a high bounce rate is because this one has a lot of external links on it. It's just going over Amazon seller software tools that we recommend. And so it's got like outbound links to like 15 different websites. So it kind of makes sense why the bounce rate is so high on that one. And let's go back to our weekly review. So Google Analytics, Search Console Index Check. So I won't go into this one too much, but is a little technical, just double checking that Google Search Console is indexing all of our pages, because sometimes things come up that are allow our pieces of content to be de-indexed so people cannot actually see them on Google. And if something like that happens, you want to know immediately so you can fix it. Otherwise, you'll see on Google Analytics your search traffic's going way down and you don't know why. So really important to check Search Console Index checking. Active Campaign Automations Check. So this is our email delivery software. I want to see how many people are entering each of our email automations. So we have like some lead magnets on the website that are capturing people's emails. How many people are entering each one of those? And that, again, same thing as Google Analytics. That tells me where I can make little 1% improvements. How can I get more people into these ones? Maybe this one's not working very well. Maybe we need to switch it out. Things like that. And what areas do I need to look into and what should be done about it? So this is where I'll just add action items. Maybe it's, boost click-through rate for this blog, right? I can't even spell properly BIST, whatever the heck that means. And then there's a few checks down here below. Did the podcast content scheduled for the week with no roadblocks? So a lot of the time there'll be just like one or two little things that is stopping the content for the podcast going out for the week. So I need to remove those roadblocks, just look into it. Our virtual assistant handles all the editing and stuff like that, and I just check in with him. It's like, are the podcasts for this week scheduled to go out? It's very important you make sure your content is going out smoothly and on schedule and consistently. Is your social media content scheduled for the week? Same thing, just to double check in our system that our social media content is scheduled. And then more of an in-depth financial review. These are where we get into questions that I force myself to actually go through the mental process of answering these questions by writing it down. So I open up my financial dashboard, which again, if you guys want me to make a video on my financial dashboard, then let me know in the comments. That's a full another video in itself. Ideas to improve cash flow in the future. So I'm thinking like, okay, so what are we doing right now? Maybe there's some contractor we're working with that we don't really need. Maybe we can stop working with that contractor. It just forces me to brainstorm a few current ways that I can improve the cash flow of the company. In what ways can we improve profitability? Are there any expenses that we currently have that we can cut? So this is important because in the past, I've wasted thousands of dollars on software that I just kept around for longer than I needed it. There's like some software tool that was like $250 a month that it was great and we used it for a few promotions and then I forgot about it for 4 months and then, just $1,000 down the toilet. So just brainstorming this to keep your company lean and profitable is very important, especially in a digital company. And what's the one thing that would be the 80-20 of cash flow this week? So this forces me to really look, and the 80-20 principle is like what 20% of the inputs are going to get 80% of the results. And it just forces me to brainstorm like what is the one thing that if I only got this one thing done this week, then it would improve the cash flow position of the company. Very powerful. And then we get down into operations review. So I open the weekly outcomes Word document. That is another video in itself. Again, it's a very simple document basically that outlines the most important objectives, the most important outcomes that our team is focused on each week and who's responsible for each of those. I won't get into that too much, but it's very powerful. So what went well last week and how can we continue doing well on it? And this is just me kind of open journaling on what really went well last week and what the team really killed it on, what I really killed it on, and how can we really expand on that even more, and what did not go well last week, and then adding action items for improvement. So this is a crucial thing to go through because there are always going to be things that did not go well, and those are good opportunities to either just cut those out of the operations altogether or create systems that will improve them in the future, or maybe a new process that someone can go through to avoid those things not going well in weeks going forward. And this is so important that you go through this process. Building a successful business is all about just making 1% improvements to your business every single day in every aspect of your business. So if you go through this process, it's going to help you identify what those 1% improvements are so that you can continually just build upon it and build a really powerful business. Did we hit last week's 3 top priorities and what stopped us? So this allows me to just create better goals, really. So in the beginning, you'll find you're probably not very good at choosing the priorities and judging like how many of them you can get done each week. When I choose the top 3 priorities, it's much easier to get 3 done per week, and that's more realistic. Honestly, if there are 3 big objectives for the week, it's more realistic you're going to get those done instead of the 15 that you're probably going to be adding to your weekly to-do list, right? And what are this week's top 5 priorities? So I just brainstormed those and I put them into the weekly outcomes document again. Then I always like to go into the personal growth kind of things too, because honestly, the biggest factor of the success of your business is going to be the success of you and the efficiency of you as the business owner, right? You're the person who has the energy and the vision and all the knowledge to really grow this thing the most. You're the leader of this business, right? Whether you have a large team or whether it's just you. I mean, especially if it's just you. So weekly personal growth. So I look at my personal finances. I got that in a spreadsheet there, and I just kind of review. I brainstorm what major expenses I made that week. What could I have done better with personal finance this week, and what can I implement? So very often what I'll find is I made some dumb purchase on something that I probably don't need that was impulsive, right? And I'll just brainstorm on that. It's okay, why did I make that purchase? And the more that I do this, the less I spend money on dumb things. It's a way to get around the mindless buying of stuff you don't need, right? And I think if you're going to be making any amount of money, it's very important that you get better at dealing with your own personal finances. So this is just a quick check for me to do that. And then this is for a relationship as well. So my girlfriend, I think it's very it's important to have an intentional relationship, or else it'll just end up like just some kind of mediocre relationship where you just like barely meet each other's needs enough that you stay together. And like that's what happens to so many relationships, right? So I think it's important to really intentionally build that to have a great relationship. And I do have a really great relationship with my girlfriend because of things like this. So I ask myself these questions. What small things can I do to make my girlfriend feel loved this week? Just brainstorm one little thing. Maybe it's just like, I'm going to, get some flowers delivered or something like that. It can be very simple, or it can be something more elaborate. What surprise will I plan for her this week? So she really likes surprises. So like, what's something that I can plan that would be a surprise that would be really cool and would make her excited? And what activity can we do this week that would be fun? That's for her, but it's also for me because I enjoy spending time with her, and that's really good. So this really covers everything I need to cover for the week: my personal life, personal finances, relationship, and the health of the business. So this is a repeatable process too. There's lots of things on this list that if we missed even one of these things, then something really bad could happen, and I wouldn't know about it for months. Like especially when it comes to Google Analytics and Google Search Console, what's happening with our emails. If we don't check all these things, especially the money-related things, then stuff is just going to be really chaotic with the business. So you will find as you grow an online business, whether you're a freelancer or you're planning on building an entire agency out, there's all these things that you have to keep track of. So we have, marketing is a really big one. You have to handle the sales process, client delivery, team management, whether you're a freelancer and you're just hiring people on Upwork when you need them, or you are actually managing an entire team. All these things just like they take a lot of your time and effort. And if you don't have a methodical way of just like keeping track of all these different things, then you're going to be dropping balls, right? There's just so many aspects to a business that you need to have systems in place where these things, the most important things, are being monitored. And if you're monitoring, everything, if you're micromanaging everything, it's just literally impossible. You just won't have the time to actually get anything done in your business because you'll be spending all your time in reports and trying to figure out what's happening. So it's really important to reduce it down to just the smallest amount. Like, what is the smallest piece of each one of these things that you can monitor to know that it's going well and see the health of it? Right? So in the marketing, that's like quickly opening up the Google Analytics dashboard and seeing if anything is going wrong with the traffic to the website. And then you look into it more. Then you can dive into it. But if nothing's going wrong, then you only spent a short amount of time looking into it. The sales numbers, we looked into that, and like that's the most basic check of sales. I will do more in-depth looks at the financials, and I definitely recommend doing that. But at the bare minimum, have a look at your trailing 7-day number and your trailing 30 days numbers to see the overall health of the business. And if it looks good, then maybe you don't have to look into it more really. But if you're failing to do that, you will end up in cash flow crunches. It'll just happen. You'll wake up one day and you're like, I thought I had all that money in my bank account, and now all of a sudden it's gone, and I need to make this payment in 2 days, right? So really, really important to look into that. I cannot tell you how many times when I was starting out that I was just operating and I thought I had a good idea of what's going on, and then everything's going good, and then bam, like some red flags will start to come up, and then another red flag starts to come up, and then I'm like, okay, so now I should look into this, and there is just like an explosion of craziness going on in this part of my business. Like there was an employee who I thought he was doing his job properly, and after all these red flags come up, and I realized he's not doing his job. But this stuff can be eliminated. If you have a system in place where you do a regular check here, a regular check here, a regular check here of just like basic minimal things, then you will never get to this point over here where the business has just exploded, right? You hold that team member accountable to whatever it is. You see the situation that's going on much earlier, and you can respond to prevent it from even happening in the first place, or at least mitigate it much faster so it doesn't end up as a huge problem down the road. So hopefully that was helpful to you guys. If you guys want that template, then comment in the comments below. If enough of you guys want it, then I will put together a downloadable template for you guys so you can stick that into your own Notion account. I highly recommend using some kind of checklist like this, at least on a weekly basis, if not at the very least on a monthly basis, and go through all of the crucial parts of your business or your freelancing operation so that you can make smarter decisions about your business. So if you want the template, let me know in the comments, and hopefully you guys got some value out of this. See you guys in the next video.